There you go.
All right, thank you.
All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending the joint committee meeting on March 21st at 1:15 p.m. I'll call the meeting into order. In attendance is myself, Mayor Slaughter, and Misty Dion from Roads to Freedom. So I sent the agenda out a little bit ago. I know Misty, did you guys receive it?
Yep, I got it. I think Misty just posted it in the chat, I believe.
Okay.
Yep.
So item 1 is the work plan. So we've been discussing this for quite some time. I know the lawyers have been going back and forth, and we've agreed to accept the work plan. Misty, would you like me to discuss this, or would you like to take this part over?
You can go ahead.
Okay. So as we sent the letter again this morning, we accept the work plan with the stipulations, that we can make modifications to it as that is stated out to the consent decree. And I put that blip in the email I sent to you earlier this morning, Mr. Mayor. So Karen and I actually went over the work plan on Friday that John had sent out from 3/11, and there's quite a bit done, and there's quite a bit that has to be moving forward. So we had some questions and some things that we would like to bring up about that, but I'm not sure if we can do that without John here today. So I don't know if you want to hear our questions and concerns, or you want us to
Yes, I
table
would
that?
like to get questions, and I did get the paper or the document, I guess you referenced there, Jay. And from my understanding, the attorneys are still working through that. I think there was 4 or 5 items. Obviously, the one was the approval of the work plan with a few other bullet points there. So I don't think anything has been finalized on the remainder of that document from my understanding, speaking with our attorney. I think they're still, your attorney and our attorney are still working through that, I believe.
Derek, this is Misty. Can you elaborate at all? I'm not sure I understand what.
So that document that was sent out, that Jay sent this morning with, you just, I'll put up, hold on. So it is the one that your attorneys, hang on one second, I need water.
The one from David Furliger?
Yes, the one that was sent out. So I did see that document. So give me one second. So there's 4 items. The first one is as Jay mentioned, the approval of the work plan. The second part was this approval does not affect the parties' rights under the consent decree. The third was that the parties agree that the priority code, quote unquote, levels for activities set forth in the work plan's appendices are the priorities for accomplishment of correction of the work plan's identified issues. If that is or becomes an issue, it can be addressed through the modifications process. And then the fourth is prior determinations of the joint committee remain in place. For example, the committee's commitment that decisions are made by quote unquote supermajority, which in this case would be 4-1. And then the last paragraph says separately, the parties by council will immediately quote unquote attempt to agree on a reasonable fee, end quote, under the consent decree section 11. So from my understanding of this document, and I don't know obviously what you all heard on your side, but that the attorneys are still discussing that document, that nothing has been agreed upon. As far as finalizing where where the attorneys have come to a final agreement on that document.
So, is there any issues or concerns that you and your team have with anything in this that would prohibit us from continuing to move forward today?
I would defer to our attorneys on that. I mean, as far as listening to what questions or comments you have related to the work plan, I don't believe there's any concern there. But as far as the document in its entirety, I would defer to the attorneys for, discussion on that. I don't think this is I don't think the joint committee is the place where the resolution is going to be made for the documents, comprehensively speaking.
So Jay, hearing that, I would suggest that we postpone the discussion till we have all the joint committee members here so that we can kind of follow the consent decree and the modifications as outlined in the consent decree.
Sure, I understand. I'm okay with that. Is that okay with you, Mr. Mayor?
Sure, and from my understanding, I think the attorneys are working through that. I think they had an update with Judge Brand, and I think maybe it was like 7 to 10 days, somewhere in that vicinity, that they were going to work together, our attorney and your attorney, on that document. So, yeah, sure. If we want to postpone it until the attorneys have had a chance to discuss further, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think that we would need to have the other joint committee members present to thoroughly discuss the modifications that have been proposed. We have some too, based on the ones we've received. So, and then certainly because we're outside of compliance with the deadlines that are outlined in the finalized work plan. So hopefully we can move together. Do you think we can schedule our next meeting for next Monday instead of waiting,
Yeah, we can try. We can, and I'll speak to our attorney. You can speak to yours and see where they stand with the document, and then we can try and schedule it for next Monday.
Okay. And real quick, the payment for the trainings provided, we've sent a couple invoices. Have you ever had a chance to?
I have, yes. That's with our finance. I'm not sure. I will check with them as soon as we get off of this. Again, that should be to you. It should have already been there. So hopefully that's en route to you all.
Perfect. And I think that's one other question. Well, I just not really a question, but just to bring to your attention, we're still waiting on the proposed curriculum for the new hires and continued training.
Yeah, I think that's another area that the attorneys are working on as well, from my understanding.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. Okay. And then the other piece that I wanted to bring to your attention was the policies that we sort of briefly touched on at the last meeting. I think we approved one, but the other one was still in draft form and needing some answers on your end. So
yeah, I think both the policies and the training piece, the new employee stuff, I think the attorneys are working on both of those items.
okay.
All right.
All right. Well, that's all I have, Jay.
All right, well, the agenda was short already, so I guess we will reach out. And do you want to reach out like Wednesday